you can, any technical ability, no matter your level of skills, you can still flow in and perform averagely. Then allow for bridging different environments such as private and, so sorry, okay, something was missing there, and public. It's bridge that differences in such environment. Yeah, we know that there are IP addresses for private networks and then subnets, and there are IP addresses for public subnets. So the problem with what cloud orchestration is trying to do is to bridge that distance, that gap, that communication gap, where it is easy to actually communicate with each other, different regardless of what your IP address. And this is an image of cloud orchestration, for example. So this is IT operations, cloud operations, and then DevOps. As a DevOps, you will need IT operations to work. Using IT operations, you will need cloud operations. So you are now in between IT and cloud. The DevOps is the man that is taking charge. You can see it interlinks them. So when you are involved in these three processes.
We can't see your screen, sir.
You can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me share the screen again.
Yes, sir.
That means since beginning, you've not seen my screen?
No, sir. We are thinking that we are just talking from your hand. We didn't know you are sharing a slide.
I was showing you a slide. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Gita Abdul Salam, good afternoon.
Exactly.
Can you now see my screen?
Yes, sir. Perfectly, sir.
I see your screen.
Can you guys now see my screen?
Yes, we can.
It's perfectly, sir.
Okay. So I've already explained cloud orchestration. I think I've already explained this one. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, you can hear. Explain this, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, my earpiece just got disconnected. My also. Hopefully we can phone now. So, hello, can someone hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I've explained this already, as in how.
I'm not explaining.
Can you guys hear me clearly?
I hear you clearly.
Eh?
I hear
you clearly.
Okay, so we've done this. So that we're talking about the operation of cloud, the cloud orchestration. So I said what first. So let me move. So we say what the DevOps engineer can perform. The cloud orchestration has to cover both the DevOps engineer, the IT operations, and the cloud operation. So all the three of them together is what we call cloud orchestration. So what do we mean? We are saying managing IT operations, managing the development and operations, managing the cloud operation. Now remember, the IT operation is different from the cloud operation. IT operation is, okay, for example, when we're still using a local or manual networking process where you have to connect wires and every other thing. That is what an IT does. That's the duty of an IT operation, and every other IT related field to this thing, maybe programming, how to link, create a website, how to actually deploy this website is IT operation. But when it goes to the cloud, now the cloud manages this, so it becomes what a cloud or the cloud operation. So the way the cloud manages it is different from the normal operations that the IT engineer will do, but both of them can actually be handled by a DevOps engineer. And so all these processes are what we call cloud orchestration. And so we're just trying to explain how it goes. Okay, so now let's look at this. Under cloud orchestration, you can maximize your toolkits. For example, you keep your purpose-built top tools, e.g. Terraform, for example, but abstract their complexity from the average user. So, for example, what are the tools you're using? If you're using Terraform, for example, the basic thing is you're maximizing the usage from maybe an average user. You can deploy more and use that Terraform to carry out more of your activities than somebody who is just coming to just click on and then take advantage or just do. So through cloud orchestration, you can maximize your toolkits. Those tools, those things needed to carry out maybe Puppet, Ansible, whatever you want to use, you can actually maximize them through your what's it called? Through your cloud orchestration. So we say share the wealth, distribute expert knowledge by allowing senior techs to create policies and guide rails that help others to move faster. One funny thing is it gives room for improvement. It gives room for actually a third party, maybe you're an expert, to actually look into your operation or task. Sorry for the break. Somebody just sent a message, and so our speaker is actually in the house. So I just go through his message and I try to reply. Okay, so as I was saying, say distribute expert knowledge by allowing senior techs to create policies and guardrails that helps others to move faster. For example, you're doing something and then you don't even know what to do. And then you know about somebody who is good in cloud orchestration because it deals with IT operations, because it deals with cloud operations, and because it also deals with what is an aspect of DevOps. Now you will be able to get this expert to say, okay, I'm trying to lay this, template, or this is what I was trying to do. Either you're trying to do a continuous integration, or you're trying to actually do a continuous deployment, whatever process you're trying to take. Now, all you're trying to do is get someone who could share an idea with you and say, okay, look, don't waste. I remember we're discussing with Elias some days ago, but before yesterday, and then he was trying to create an instance from an Odoo, and then the way he was doing the Odoo instance, he couldn't get this thing running. And I was like, why suffering yourself? And then the step we looked at and we used in creating it, we spent less than 5 minutes. And he was even asking me, but we are still going to try the other one. The simple reason is because it was too fast. I believe it was too fast for him to believe that this could serve perfectly well compared to that longer process he was taking. And I remember using one word: why do you want to go on a journey of 40 days in 40 years? Why do you want to spend 40 years going through a journey that you could actually go in 40 days? So this is another thing, is whatever you think you're doing, using your own Terraform, your Puppet, your whatever method you're trying to do in your toolkit, and you're finding it difficult, through cloud orchestration, you can link up with an expert and share ideas, and then they'll give you guidelines on what to do that will help you deploy your applications as fast as you can. Then we say what? Leverage automation. Automate everything. See, it automates everything for you. That is just too good. It's just too good if you start laying hand on cloud orchestration. I am not going to keep breaking down anything because of time. I'll just round up my slides so that the main speaker will take over and then tell us more. But After this class, I ensure you just go through the world of cloud automation, go through it, read a lot about it, and you'll be glad you'll be glad you did. Because one thing I know about cloud orchestration is it gives you, it's like a house that it's even more. When we're talking about Docker containers, we're just talking about taking some of the application inside one container or Dockerizing something. But here we are talking about everything, having everything around you, building everything through a process that is very, very easy and fast to use. Now, cloud orchestration, look at something here. When you are orchestrating or when you want to try to deliver, because I talked about what continuous delivery and what continuous deployment. Let's assume you want to deliver a software. What first thing you will see is it integrated with SaaS products. Very easy. You can use it with SaaS if you want to deploy something during your delivery. Software as a service, it's there. Infrastructure as a service is there. Provisioning dependencies. I kept saying it. All other applications that are depending on the other applications, it helps you provision them and make them and give you a sequence order. Okay, look, provisioning sequence within a bundle. It gives you that sequence order where you don't have to have a problem over what you're trying to do. It gives you sequence by sequence instead of just, even if it's dependency, it gives you the room to have a sequence order of it. There was a support chief and shell script. You can write a code, for example, maybe you wrote a Yum language code or a code in a Bootstrap. You have a Bootstrap. It's easy. It helps you automate or orchestrate this as easy as it is, so that your delivery can be very fast and successful. Infrastructure as a service API endpoint. There's nothing to explain more than when you're looking at the things that you can gain from just knowing little about cloud orchestration. Provisioning various infrastructure as a service products, no matter the product, it will help. It just gives you an easy way to have a delivery. That's just it. Manage various services, various products. So you can see, if we think that Dockerization is good, cloud orchestration is what you need to try. And then you understand that there's a lot of room. There's a lot of things to improve on or to get while using it. It makes your work you won't even believe it at your fingertip. Just like I kept saying, what we did yesterday, I believe Alex, for example, didn't understand. And he was still shocked, like how soon, how fast were we able to do it in less than 3 minutes. That's the essence of cloud computing in the first place. And that's the essence of having a predefined application that you're trying to use. So orchestration, cloud orchestration also has a lot of those things too in place. Then here, I'm talking about cloud orchestration versus cloud automation. Cloud automation is a subset of what? Cloud orchestration that involve programming receptive tasks, such as configuring the network on a new virtual machine. Cloud orchestration, on the other hand, involve managing a number of interconnected automation processes. I think this has actually explained every English I am trying to have give or say. Whatever language I was trying to use or English I was trying to use, this is just the best way to get it. Cloud orchestration is a subset of cloud orchestration. And that programming receptive tasks, such as configuring the network on a new virtual machine. While cloud, on the other hand, involve managing a number of interconnected automation processes. Cloud orchestration work will typically have a higher level goals, including tasks such as auto-scaling, distributed applications, inter-service configurations, and dependency management, and high availability and disaster recovery. So you can see about two of this in there that you can get the manage multiple automation tasks to achieve a higher level workflow, a good, uses code to perform a single repetitive task. That's what cloud would have done. Why this one would have used two, whatever it is. You have to get your code together here under cloud automation here. Bring them together. You don't even need to be an expert. Handle permissioning and security of automation tasks for them. Does not typically implement policies decisions outside of what OS level. So there's a lot to learn more, but this is just a few things I was meant to show you before the main speaker comes in. Thank you very much for listening. I'm handing over now, and I will stop sharing so that our speaker can take over. Thank you. If there's any question, let the main speaker finish, then you can ask me.
Madam, you done? I don't think the main speaker is here yet, though.
He joined just now.
Yeah, we are only 4, and he's not here. He
He
left.
joined, maybe he left again.
Yeah, he said that he has a presentation to do that we join later. And this is meant to end by 4, at most 4:30. Can you send a message? You can continue. You can continue.
Okay.
Okay, let me just confirm from two questions.
So as he's doing that one, if you have questions, you can ask questions about what you just finished talking about.
Okay, I actually have some questions. However, I don't know if he was done with the slide first.
Wait, Peter.
Maybe he's trying to reach out to Mr.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense. When he's done with the call, he will come back. So you ask all the questions you want to ask. You answer it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Never mind. Sure. Peter also has dropped off.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, maybe not to allow us just waiting without doing anything.
Yeah.
I believe since this is more of a DevOps it's a DevOps event, I believe some of us have ideas of what the topic we are talking about today. So if we can still share a little of what we know while Mr. Peters come online, and then we can then ask our questions. What about that?
That's okay now. If you have something to say, you can say now.
Okay. All right. So from what Mr. Peters has said, I've just found out now that cloud orchestration has to do more of everything that has to do with not just automation, as he said, because he said automation is nothing but a subset of cloud orchestration. So when I say everything, what I mean is that it has to do with the workability of how a cloud infrastructure works. And if we should have a look at cloud orchestration, most of the time, whenever we want to work on an infrastructure, or whenever we want to work on a particular, let's say, for example, we want to work on a server, there are these little services that we put together. For example, maybe we say we want to create a particular server. We have a VPN, we have a Route 53, we still use maybe an EC2, we use maybe route tables, maybe within the VPN and all that. So I see that I see that cloud orchestration actually make it easier for these services to be able to work together, and not just that, also that with little or no effort, it makes our job easier. Because I could also remember in the beginners class, there was something that Mr. Peters emphasized, which was making the job of a DevOps engineer is making things easier. It's making things seamless. It's being lazy, in quotes. So I see cloud orchestration from my end as that, should I call it, I see it as something that a DevOps engineer must have, is a skill that must be harnessed so that it can always be productive in a very little time. So Mr. Peters is here, so maybe he can continue.
All right. Thank you for that. So, Mr. Peters, welcome. You dropped off before.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I was trying to call the speaker, so my phone, and I don't know what happened. The network now ceased, both the one that I was using for hotspotting, and so that was what happened. And so, no, I'm done. I'm actually done with this slide. I actually had this, while we're just talking, that was where I was going through something. So that was when I just brought it up. I know little about cloud orchestration, and I've been trying to go through. So I just, while you're talking, I just remember, okay, let me search for the material from my PC and then bring. So I'm done. If we have any questions, let's just discuss it. After all, we are in-house, so let's just discuss this. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I know of one who told me he lost his sister. About the other speaker. This other person just sent a message he will join, even while we're on the call. But unfortunately, he's not here again.
Okay.
We don't know what happened. So let's just chat it up. We will have any question.
Okay, I actually have a question, sir. It's something I've been wanting to ask for a long time, because I remember a time about months ago, I gave you a call and you were in the middle of the meeting saying that you were planning an architecture on AWS. So from the few times I've gone online, and whenever they talk about tiers of architecture, I see they use different services, and there's a particular layout, more like a flow chart, that the processes are, rather the services are being harnessed together to create that desired platform or architecture. Now, my question is this: assuming I'm approaching maybe, for example, an organization, in quotes, a bank, and I say, okay, fine, this is what I want to, this is kind of solution I want to offer to you. Now, in my proposal, I should have an architecture in place of how I want the organization to run on the cloud. Now, how do I do this? How do I put those pictures together? Is there a platform you can do that? For example, for those that are conversant with CCNA or any Cisco certification, there is something they call a packet tracer. The packet tracer, you are able to put a lot of devices, have their different IP addresses, their networks, and you are able to see whether this thing is going to work in a real life scenario through that simulation. So is there anything of such for maybe in quotes, maybe this time, let me just talk about AWS. Is there anything of such? Because this orchestration also plays out in this type of scenario. So is there anything of such where you can have services put together, then you have a flow chart, not necessarily having to cut pictures from different images and then we paste it, do Photoshop, and then it's looking all together. Is there something, a simulation that one can put all these things together when we are performing our architectures?
Okay. The difference between cloud architecture to the physical one you're talking about is the fact that the cloud in the first place is virtual. If we talk to once you know that once we mention cloud, we're already going virtual. It's something you can only imagine. And so in the other one, you needed to check if they work or not to get a physical hand on what you want to do. The other time when you mentioned about an architecture, the architecture here is you assume as a DevOps engineer or the company you're applying to assume you already know what they want. Let me come again. One day I was just at home and Mr. Badi called and said, look, just give me an architecture of a software. At that period, I don't know the kind of architecture I want, I could give him. So what I did was, I just went, looked for architectures in cloud computing, and I sent to him. And he called back and said, that's not what he wanted. He wants something relating to an existing application that is already running. When I had that, I quickly went and looked for a running application that has to do with what he wants. Now, this is where you come in. You ask this question, what does he want? Before you approach an organization and say, okay, you want to give them something, you will agree with me that you would have known something about our organization, what they are lacking, or what you tend to do for them. I was somewhere last week and I told the person that they said they are going online, and I was like, what kind of online are you guys going to? Why not just going to do? They say they want to have network. Why don't you go into? Why don't you just deploy your applications in the cloud? They say they don't know who will help them out, and they don't have an engineer. And I smiled and I said, I'm selling myself already to you guys. So they now say, okay, come, let's discuss. Before the other person now came in, the director, and said they already had someone who they were already talking to. Yes, that's business in Nigeria. Whatever idea you bring, someone is going to tell you they have someone somewhere that can do what you're telling them. But that's notwithstanding. When you're approaching an organization, you know what they want. And because you know what they want, you are able to design, like the architecture I gave Mr. Badi the other day, the architecture I'm talking about, it's not that you are going to design something, you're going to imagine. I've given an architecture to Bincom, And then Mr. Simi looked at the architecture and said, perfect, but it's not cost effective. For example, what was the architecture? They want to do a social lender. They will tell you, they want to have a social lender, this same social lender that is working. They want to migrate it from 10 concurrent user to 1 million concurrent user. I already know what they want. They wanted 1 million people to be able to log in at the same time to social lender. Remember, social lender is an application that is in the cloud. So how do we manage it now? How do we migrate from 10 concurrent user to 1 million user in the cloud? That was the first thing the Bincom actually gave me. And so we started with Ogbede. We did it. We just did a slide of what we think. Mr. Wadi said that was not what he wants. He wants us practiced it. Did you get? Now, we've given them the write-ups that, okay, for moving from 1 concurrent user to 1 million user, we're going to have EC2. We're going to break it. We're going to have a database. We're going to have this. That is the architecture we're talking about. There's going to be a need for an EC2. There's going to be a need for RDS. There's going to be a database. There's going to be a need for load balancer. There's going to be a need for this. There's going to be a need for region. We listed all the things that was needed, then created a slide. I wish I could lay hand. One of these is I'll find it and just share with you. It's going to take me time to start logging into my system and looking for the architecture for that 1 million concurrent user. And I shared it. So when we submitted, he said, fine, it's good. But he wants us to practice this thing. All this thing we are saying, 2 EC2, 2 RDS, with a load balancer, with an APC, a VPC, with a gateway, with everything, with an RD, with a just Route 53, linking all these things. So they are nice architecture plan on the ground. So have we practiced this thing we've written to them? So he wanted us to configure what we've written and practice that thing. So when we couldn't do it, we had to ask for time to study so that we'll be able to do it. At the end of the day, we came up with a plan that, okay, let's find someone, let's contact Mr. Simi on how to do it. So we called Simi, and Simi actually told us what to do. So we tried it in our own way, providing another architecture. That's the architecture we're talking is listing some things we can imagine that could give you this same service for 1 million people. So when we did it, then Simi said, when he looked at it, he said, perfect architecture, but there's a problem. This architecture is not going to be cost effective because we're using T3 micro. Because T2 will be too slow, for example. T2 large will be too small. Will be okay, but it's going to be expensive. So you have to check. So when we started using T3 micro, he said it's not going to be cost effective. It will be too expensive to maintain. So that was the condition that made us to suspend the architecture. He now suggested a better architecture for us. But let's assume he doesn't have an idea of what the architecture looks like or what to do. He'll just tell you, you guys don't know what you're doing. And let's assume we don't even have an idea. If I had known more of cloud orchestration, would have introduced this to it then. So that is how we got the idea on how to go, even though he's still handling 90% of the task. But we have an idea of what he's going to do. We know what we wanted, and we have a plan. So that the architecture we are saying is write it down, a template, the architecture we're saying, write it down. What is the connection? Personally, I will send the link, one of the architecture, or one that will share screen with you and show you what I'm talking about. If that's okay by you.
It's very fine, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, sir. Every other person has left too, except for 3 of us. Mr. Bamisili.
Yeah, I think it's only that other guy. We were just on the call before. So we can end the meeting since nobody is on it. It's already 4. And there was soon other people also.
Yeah. 3 people chatted me up and said they have engaged in the office and they couldn't log in. Those other people that I invited. The other guy couldn't come in based on what happened. And then Musa couldn't show up. I don't know what happened as well. So that's 5 people that I could give account of. I don't know about others. But we'll end the meeting now. Hope we'll do better in our next event day. We hope to do better.
Well, I personally have gained a lot from today's because as far as I'm concerned, there is, yes, fine, we need the speakers, and because that is company's policy and all that, which is very important to adhere to specifications and rules. But I don't think if we have wasted time, because I've learned something new, I've learned something with experience, and which is very practical. Something, in fact, let me just say today's meeting is more like I was introduced to something that is live, something that I've not even thought about. And a question that has been bothering my mind since has already been explained. So for me, I would say it's not a time wasted. I got what I feel I needed to get for today. So thank you, sir. And
Thank you,
thank
Alex.
you.
We'll talk later in the evening.
All right, sir. Okay. Oh, yes, sir. Wait for. Today is Friday.